I agreed to be the mother he lost, and the truth I uncovered healed my own wound. But how could a lie feel more truthful than the truth itself? Chicago breathed November's knife-edge cold through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the 30th floor apartment in the Aqua Tower. Outside, Lake Michigan roared against the frozen edges of Navy Pier, its dark waters mirroring the lights of the financial district stretching to the horizon. But inside, in Alexander's warm living room, 3 months of routine had built the illusion of a family so convincing that the world beyond these walls faded away. I, Sophia, watched Benjamin build a tower of bright blocks on a Persian rug that cost more than 6 months of rent on my small place in Pilsen. His small fingers concentrated, his tongue peeking out, just like I used to do as a child, according to the few photos that survived my parents. My parents, gone 15 years ago in the fire that swallowed our apartment in Little Village. That ache still throbbed like a phantom limb, especially on winter nights like this one. Alexander came in, his Armani suit replaced by a worn University of Chicago t-shirt and faded jeans. He handed me a fine porcelain cup of tea without needing to ask how I liked it. 3 months was long enough for him to know I drank chamomile with a spoonful of buckwheat honey, exactly as my Mexican grandmother made it when I was little. Long enough for Benjamin to call me mommy without anyone correcting him, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Long enough for me to forget I was only the nanny hired through an elite loop agency. "Dinner from Giordano's will be here in 20, Alexander said, his blue eyes moving from me to Benjamin with an expression I still could not read, somewhere between deep gratitude and an old wound that never closed. His accent still carried traces of the British English he picked up in his years in London, before returning to Chicago to take over the family business. Benjamin lifted his arms to me, his brown eyes, so much like mine, shining under the crystal chandelier. "Mommy, up!" I gathered him close, his warm 4-year-old body settling into my lap as if it had always belonged there. His fingers touched my face, tracing my jawline with a familiarity that made me shiver, and then something deeply strange happened, a flash of a memory that was not mine. The sweet scent of Johnson baby powder. The sound of a lullaby in Spanish my mother used to sing. The touch of tiny hands identical to mine, playing with my face in some dark, warm place, a womb? Alexander watched us from the dining room doorway, his face pale under the soft light. He never does that with anyone. Not with any of the other nannies we had before you. What exactly did he do? I asked, still rattled by the déjà vu that had swept through me. He touched your face in the exact way, the way Isabella used to touch his when he was a baby. His voice caught slightly on her name. She said it was his way of memorizing the people he loved. Her name hung between us like a physical presence, Isabella, the wife who disappeared 8 months ago in a mysterious car crash on Lakeshore Drive that never fully made sense to anyone. Isabella, whose photos still lined the walls, whose Chanel No. 5 lingered in the master closet, whose absence was a constant presence we all felt but no one dared to name. Benjamin caught a strand of my brown hair, so like his serious eyes fixed on mine as if he could see through me. "Mommy came back," he whispered, as if sharing the most important secret in the universe. In that moment, holding a child who loved me with a force that went far beyond any professional bond, feeling the gaze of a man who treated me with an intimacy far past what would be proper between employer and employee, I understood the question I had asked at the beginning. How could a lie be more truthful than the truth itself? Because I was starting to suspect that perhaps we were not pretending at all. Perhaps we were simply remembering who we had always been before life tore us apart. And that suspicion felt more frightening than any lie we could invent. My mind returned to the day Alexander hired me. I was desperate, eviction looming, bills piling up, the feeling that Chicago was swallowing me whole. The agency sent me to interview in the most luxurious apartment I had ever seen. Alexander greeted me with an exhaustion that seemed to live in his bones, months of broken sleep pooling in his eyes. "I need someone to look after Benjamin at night," he said, his hands trembling around an empty coffee cup. He has not slept well since the accident." I agreed on the spot, the salary 3 times higher than anything I could find. But there had been something else, an instant connection with the child quietly watching cartoons on the sofa, his big, sad eyes fixed on the screen. In the first days, Benjamin barely spoke to me. He only watched, studying every move I made as if searching for something. Or someone. In the second week he called me mommy for the first time. I gently corrected him. "I am Sophia, Ben." He shook his head with stubborn certainty. "No. Mommy." Alexander heard from the kitchen and appeared in the doorway, his face a mask of conflicting emotions. "Let it be," he whispered, his eyes pleading. "Please, just let it be." And I did. Because something in his request came from a place of such raw pain that I could not bring myself to refuse. Besides, a part of me, a part one did not understand, liked how that word sounded in his mouth. Now, 3 months later, that word had become our reality. Benjamin was my life. Alexander was my safe harbor. And this home was becoming mine in a way no place had been since my parents were gone. But there were secrets here. I felt them in the walls, in Alexander's silences when I asked about Isabella, in the way Benjamin sometimes called me Mommy Bella when he was sleepy. And the greatest secret of all was beginning to reveal itself to me, piece by piece, like a puzzle I did not know I had been assembling. Because the more time I spent with Benjamin, the more I noticed the similarities between us. The dimple in our chins when we smiled. The way we both twisted our hair when we were thinking. Even our strawberry allergy was identical. Coincidences, I told myself. Only coincidences. But deep down, I knew I was lying to myself. And the truth approaching promised not only to answer the question I had asked at the beginning, but also to heal wounds I had carried my entire life. Wounds that, I suspected more and more, were not only mine. The doorbell rang, breaking the charged moment between the 3 of us. Alexander looked almost relieved by the interruption and turned quickly to answer it. Benjamin stayed on my lap, his small fingers still tracing the line of my jaw as if reading the secrets of my face in Braille. "It is the pizza," Alexander called from the entryway, his voice slipping back into the professional composure he wore like armor against feelings that went too deep. While he paid the delivery person, I carried Benjamin to the dining table and settled him into his high chair, the very one Isabella had chosen with care at a specialty store on the Magnificent Mile, Alexander had told me one night after 1 glass of wine too many. She spent weeks hunting for the perfect chair, he had said, eyes lost in some tender memory. She wanted it safe, comfortable, but beautiful too. She always said aesthetics mattered as much as function. Now, watching Benjamin settle into a chair that cost more than my first car, I could not help wondering how many of Isabella's choices still echoed through this home. How many objects, habits, preferences I had assumed were mine were, in truth, hers. Alexander returned with the box, his face neutral again, the earlier emotion carefully packed away behind the mask of the successful executive. He served the slices, cutting Benjamin's into small pieces, the exact size I always cut them, although we had never discussed it. "Thank you, Daddy," Benjamin said, gripping his fork with both hands. Alexander smiled at his son, but his eyes held mine a moment too long. "You are welcome, son." We ate in a pocket of quiet, The only sounds the wind howling outside and the soft city hum 30 floors down. I studied Alexander from the corner of my eye, noticing how his fingers drummed the table just as mine did when I was nervous. How he filled his lungs before approaching anything difficult, exactly like me. Even his laugh, rare but real, landed in the same low register as mine. Coincidences, I repeated. Only coincidences. But the longer we spent together, the more those coincidences stacked up, forming a pattern I could no longer ignore. I need to pick up some documents from Isabella's office tomorrow, Alexander said suddenly, as if the thought had just surfaced. Could you come with me? Benjamin has swimming class at 9 o'clock, but after that. He did not finish, but I understood what he was not saying. He did not want to go alone. Isabella's office had remained closed since her disappearance, an untouched sanctuary no one dared to cross. Of course, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I can take Benjamin to the park after swimming and meet you there. He nodded, relieved. Thank you, Sophia. I truly appreciate everything you do for us. His eyes said more than his words. They said I had become much more than a nanny. They said that, in some strange way, I had filled a space he did not know existed until I arrived. After dinner, I bathed Benjamin, our nightly ritual with vanilla-scented bubbles and rubber ducks. As I soaked his shoulders, he looked up, serious. Mommy, are you going away again? My heart squeezed. No, darling. I am not going away. But the other mommy went, he said, eyes filling. She promised she would not, but she did. I wrapped him in a soft towel and held him close. Sometimes people have to go, Ben. But I promise I will not. As I spoke, a strange certainty settled in me that I was telling the truth. That, somehow, I belonged to this place, to this child, to this family in a way that transcended any contract. Later, after Benjamin fell asleep with his head on my shoulder, I tucked him into the bedspread Isabella had chosen, sky blue with embroidered stars to match the space theme. I watched him sleep a long time, his breathing even, his face calm. When I stepped into the hall, I found Alexander standing there, watching us through the half-open door. He adores you, he whispered, eyes soft in the dark. More than he ever adored any other nanny. More than some people in the family. He is a special child, I said, matching his hush. Easy to love. Alexander shook his head. It is not only that, Sophia. There is something different in the way he connects with you. As if he knew something we do not. His words echoed my own thoughts, and a chill ran down my spine. What do you mean? I asked, though I feared the answer. He hesitated, his eyes searching my face in the dim light. Nothing. Forget it. Silly thoughts from a tired father. But I knew they were not silly thoughts. And I knew he knew it too. That night, in the guest room that no longer felt like a guest room but my own, I could not sleep. My mind kept circling Isabella. The photos on the walls. The stories Alexander told. The little things Benjamin said about the other mommy. The more I turned it over, the more disturbing a truth took shape. I was not simply stepping into Isabella's place in their lives. In some strange, unexplainable way, I was becoming her. Not literally, but in gestures, preferences, even in how I moved around Benjamin. It was as if I were following a script I had never read but somehow knew. The most frightening part was that it did not frighten me as much as it should. It felt right. Natural. Like coming home after a long journey. What kind of person feels at home in someone else's life? What kind of person accepts a role that was never hers? Those questions chased me into sleep, where I dreamed of a woman with my face who was not me. A woman smiling from a place I had never been, holding a child who was not mine, but felt as if he were. When I woke to winter sun filling the windows, I knew the day would bring answers I might not be ready to hear. I also knew there was no going back. The truth was advancing, and it meant to reveal not only Isabella's secrets, but my own. Morning arrived with a brittle brightness that made Lake Michigan look like a shattered pane of glass. As I helped Benjamin dress for swimming, my hands trembled. The thought of entering Isabella's office filled me with a nameless anxiety, part morbid curiosity, part ancestral fear. "Are you all right, Sophia?" Alexander asked as he poured coffee, catching the tremor. "Yes. Just a little nervous about the office," I admitted, avoiding his eyes. He nodded. "Me too. I have not been in there since before." Benjamin watched us in turn, his small face sober. "Mommy liked the office," he said suddenly. "She said it was her secret place." Alexander and I exchanged a look. It was one of the rare times Benjamin spoke of Isabella without prompting. "What else did she say about the office, son?" Alexander asked gently. Benjamin shrugged. "That she kept secrets there. Important secrets." An hour later, I left Benjamin at swimming at the East Bank Club, promising to pick him up as soon as he finished. I met Alexander outside the River North building where Isabella kept her office, a restored historic property filled with design and architecture firms. He looked pale, his hands shoved deep in his coat pockets. "Ready?" he asked, tense. "As ready as I can be," I said, though I was not ready at all. The elevator rose to the 12th floor in weighted silence. The doors opened on a sleek corridor with marble floors and modern art on the walls. Alexander walked to a door at the end, dark wood, a brass plaque that read, "Isabella Alencar, Architecture and Design." He drew out a key, his hand shaking as he fitted into the lock. The door creaked open on a space frozen in time. The office was me. Not me, Sophia, the Chicago nanny. But me, the person I had always been in my most private dreams. The colors, soft sky blues and silver, were my favorite. The furniture, clean lines with Art Deco detail, matched my taste exactly. Even the scent that still lingered was the fragrance I wore before I moved to Chicago, when I could still afford something expensive. "My God," I whispered, "my knee's going weak." Alexander looked over, confused. "What is it?" "Nothing," I lied, bracing myself against the door. "It is just different than I expected." He stepped in first, breath catching at the fine dust on everything. "She hated dust," he said, voice breaking. "Always complained the cleaning staff never did it right." I followed, my eyes scanning the room. Every detail felt familiar in a way that made no sense. The black leather chair behind the desk, I knew exactly how it adjusted. The desk lamp, I remembered choosing it at a design fair in Milan. Except I had never been to Milan. I had never had the money for designer furniture. I had never. My legs gave out and I dropped into the guest chair. "Sophia." Alexander rushed to me, worry etched across his face. "Are you all right? Do you want me to call someone?" "I am fine," I said, gripping the arms of the chair. "Just a little dizzy." It was not dizziness. It was recognition. The kind that rises from the soul, not from conscious memory. While Alexander started searching the desk drawers for the documents he needed, my gaze drifted to a shelf on the opposite wall. Photos. Dozens of them in elegant frames. I rose, still unsteady, and there she was. Isabella. She was me. Not exactly, but close enough to be sisters. Twins. The same deep brown eyes. The same face shape. The same dimple in the chin when she smiled. Even the tilt of her head in the photos matched mine. My hands began to shake so hard I had to catch the shelf. "Alexander," I said, my voice a hoarse whisper. He turned, following my line of sight. Pain crossed his face. "Yes. It is hard to look sometimes. You and she, you resemble each other a bit, you know? A bit? We were almost identical." My mind hurled backward to my childhood. To the parents I lost in the fire. To the few memories I kept. To the fact that I was an only child, at least that was what I had always been told. But what if? No. Impossible. "What are you looking for exactly?" I asked, hiding the tremor in my voice. "Contracts for the Museum of Contemporary Art project," he said, still rifling drawers. "There is a dispute over a few payments and I need the original paperwork." As he searched, my eyes fell to a small, discreet side drawer. Something inside me knew what was there. Knew with a visceral certainty that made me nauseated. I moved to the desk, palms damp. "Let me help," I offered, tugging the drawer. It was locked. "Strange," Alexander said, noticing. "Isabella never locked anything. She said trust was the foundation of everything." But I knew why this one was locked. I knew that inside was the answer to all my questions. I knew because I was the one who was supposed to know what lay there. My hands, moving as if by their own will, went to the dried flower vase on the windowsill. My fingers found what they were looking for, a small key hidden behind the vase, exactly where I knew it would be. "How did you?" Alexander began, eyes wide. I did not answer. I slid the key into the lock. It opened with a soft click. Inside was a single brown envelope. My name was on the front. For Sophia. My hands shook so hard I almost dropped it. Alexander stepped closer, face drained. "What is that? How did she know your name?" I did not answer. I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside were a letter and an old photo, yellowed by time. The photo showed two baby girls, cradled together in a crib. Both had the same brown hair, the same deep brown eyes. Below, a handwritten caption, "Isabella and Sophia, 6 months." The world collapsed around me. The walls closed in. Air vanished from my lungs. I fell to my knees, the photo sliding from numb fingers. Alexander picked it up, eyes scanning fast. Confusion flared into disbelief, then into an understanding so sharp it twisted his face. "My God," he whispered, hands shaking. "Isabella, she had a twin sister. She told me once, when we were in Paris. She said that you did not survive the same fire that took your parents." I looked up, tears finally breaking through the dam I had held so long. "I did not die," I said, voice raw. "Someone pulled me out. Raised me as their only child. I never knew." The pieces locked into place with painful precision. My instant connection with Benjamin. My familiarity with this home. My gestures, so like Isabella's. My feeling of belonging here. I was not replacing Isabella. I was completing her. The truth I had found was not only about her. It was about me. About who I had always been without knowing it. Alexander sank to his knees beside me, his hands clasping mine. "Sophia," he said, his face a storm of feelings. "My God, Sophia." And there, on the office floor of the sister I never knew I had, I finally understood my question. How could a lie be more truthful than the truth itself? Because the biggest lie of all was that I was a stranger to this family. And the greatest truth was that I had always belonged to it. That truth did not only answer my questions about Isabella. It began to heal the wounds I had carried since childhood, wounds of abandonment, of loss, of not belonging. Wounds that, I now understood, were never only mine. Silence in the office was so dense it felt touchable. Alexander still knelt beside me, his grip steady on my shaking hands. The photo of the twins lay between us, an irrefutable proof of a truth that would change everything. "I did not know," he repeated, voice rough. "She told me only once, on a night of too much wine, on our anniversary. She said she lost her twin in the same fire that took her parents. That Sophia died trying to save her favorite doll." Tears ran freely now, each carrying 15 years of questions. "Someone pulled me out," I said through sobs. "A firefighter, I think. Took me away, raised me as his own. I never knew, never imagined." Alexander lifted the letter still in the envelope. His hands trembled as he opened it. Isabella's handwriting was elegant and fluid, so like mine it hurt to look. "Dear Sophia," he read aloud, voice breaking. "If you are reading this, it means we finally found each other. Or that I am no longer there to tell you in person." He paused, swallowing hard, then went on. "Our parents were lost trying to save us from the fire. A firefighter rescued you first and carried you away before they could find me. When they told me you had gone, part of me went too. I closed my eyes, feeling every word like a blade. All my life I had carried the guilt of surviving alone. Now I learned I was not alone. That I had a sister who searched for me, loved me, waited for me. I spent years looking for you," Alexander continued. "I hired investigators, searched orphanages. Until one day I accepted that you were truly gone. But I always felt you, Sophia. I always knew that somewhere, you were alive." He looked up at me, eyes wet. "She described you perfectly. Your gestures, your habits, even your strawberry allergy. She said you twisted your hair when you were nervous, exactly like she did." "That explains everything," I whispered, my hand flying to my hair. Why Benjamin recognized me. Why this house felt familiar. Why I knew where the key was. Alexander nodded slowly, comprehension dawning across his features. "You were not replacing Isabella for Benjamin. You were completing her. To him, you have always been both, the aunt he never met and the mother he lost." The truth hit me full force. All the love I felt for Benjamin, the connection that sparked in an instant, was no coincidence. It was blood. It was history. It was destiny finally catching up after years of separation. "And Alexander?" I asked, voice trembling. "Why did you hire me? Out of all the nannies?" He looked from Isabella's photos to me. "Your resume came through the agency on the 8-month mark of her disappearance. When I saw your name, Sophia, something in me knew. And when you arrived for the interview and I saw your face." He did not need to finish. I understood. The recognition had been mutual, even if unconscious. We rose slowly, still unsteady. Alexander held the letter, his eyes running over the last lines. "She wrote this just before the accident," he said softly. "She writes that she had a strange feeling, as if the past were about to catch her. As if you were drawing near." A shiver moved through me. She knew? She knew I would come? "It seems so," he said, finding my hand again. "She ends with, 'Take care of Benjamin for me. And when you find Sophia, tell her I always loved her. That we are two halves of the same soul, separated by fire, destined to meet again." The tears returned, but this time they felt different. Less pain, more release. Healing. The wound I had carried since childhood, the sense of incompleteness, finally began to close. It was not only about finding my sister. It was about finding myself. About understanding why I had always felt like a stranger inside my own life. Why certain things were familiar without reason. Why Chicago had called to me, even though I had never lived here before. Now I knew. Chicago was not simply a city to me. It was the place my sister lived. Where my nephew grew. Where my brother-in-law. Alexander. I looked at him, truly looked, and saw no longer a distant employer, but the man who loved my sister. The father of my nephew. The person who, without knowing, had brought me home. "We need to tell Benjamin," I said, my voice stronger now. Alexander nodded. "Yes." But gently. To him, "You are already the mother he lost. Now you will be the aunt he has gained." The irony did not escape me. I had agreed to be the mother Alexander lost, not knowing that in doing so I was becoming the sister Isabella lost. And in the process, I was healing not only their wound, but my own. The truth I had found was not mere revelation. It was redemption. A chance to mend what fate had torn. To love and be loved in a way that exceeded anything I imagined. And as we left the office, hand in hand, I knew nothing would be the same. But for the first time in a long while, everything finally made sense. On the way to pick up Benjamin from swimming, the silence in the car was unlike any we had shared before. Not the uncomfortable hush of strangers, nor the dense quiet of unresolved grief. It was the sacred stillness of two people absorbing a truth that would alter the course of their lives. Alexander drove with steady hands, but in the rear view I could see his thoughts were as turbulent as mine. At every red light, his fingers tapped the wheel exactly like mine, and now I understood why. Not coincidence, but blood. We were family. "How will we tell him?" I asked, breaking the silence as we entered Lakeshore Drive. He took a deep breath, eyes on the road. "The truth, in a way he can grasp. That you are his mother's sister. That you are here to stay with us forever." The words "forever" echoed through the car, heavy in a way that once would have frightened me. Now they soothed me. Forever was no longer a threat or an overwhelming responsibility. It was a promise. A birthright that had been denied for 15 years. At the East Bank Club, Benjamin waited by the front desk, hair still wet, face lighting up when he saw us. He ran into our arms, and for the first time I embraced him not as the nanny who loved him, but as the aunt who always should have. "You came," he said, arms around my neck with a familiarity that now made perfect sense. "I will always come, darling," I said, tears threatening again. "Always." On the drive home, Benjamin chattered about floating on his back for the first time and a new friend he had made. Over his small head, Alexander and I traded looks. How could we disturb his bright happiness with a truth so complex? But when we got home and Benjamin settled on the sofa with his snack, Alexander knelt before him, holding his small hands. "Son, we have a very special story to tell you," he began gently. Benjamin looked from him to me, his big, bright eyes sensing the moment. "Is it about Mommy?" he asked, small voice steady. "Yes, darling," I said, sitting beside him. "It is about your mommy and about me." So we told him. We told him about two twin sisters born together, loving each other from the first breath. About a terrible fire that tore them apart when they were very young. About one sister who grew up knowing she had a twin, and another who grew up not knowing she had a family. "So you were Mommy's sister?" Benjamin asked, scanning my face with an intensity that reminded me of Isabella in the photos. "Yes, darling," I said, hands shaking. "I am Aunt Sophia. Your Mommy's twin." He went quiet for a long moment, his fingers tracing the sofa pattern. Then he looked at Alexander. "Did Mommy know that Aunt Sophia was real?" "She knew, son," Alexander said, emotion thick in his voice. "She always knew. And she always loved Aunt Sophia, even without knowing her well." Benjamin turned back to me, serious. "Is that why you look like Mommy in the pictures? Is that why you know all my favorite things? Is that why you seem like Mommy?" My tears broke free. "Yes, darling. That is why." Then he did something none of us expected. He stood on the sofa, set his small hands on my face just as he had the day before, and said, "Then you are not the Mommy who came back. You are the Mommy who stayed." The simplicity and depth of a 4-year-old's understanding took our words away. Alexander and I just looked at each other, astonished, as Benjamin curled into my lap as if that truth had always been obvious to him. "I knew you were special," he whispered, head against my chest. "My tummy hurt when you were not here, and it got better when you came back. Mommy said that is how we know when someone is family, we feel it in our tummy." Alexander joined us on the sofa, his arms around us both, an embrace that felt destined. In that moment, wrapped together in the apartment overlooking the lake, the three scattered parts of a family finally became whole. Later, while Benjamin played on the rug, Alexander pulled me into the kitchen. "We need to talk about the future," he said, serious. "I know," I said, hands still and steady. "About my job, about where I will live." He shook his head, eyes intent. "No, Sophia. About your family. About your home. This apartment, this life, half of it was always yours by right. Isabella left everything divided equally between you and me in her will. She always hoped you would appear. The air left my lungs. She put me in her will? She included you in everything," he said, reverent. "In the company, in the properties, in Benjamin's guardianship. She always said that if anything happened to her, you were the only person who could love Benjamin as much as she did." The tears came again, this time from a gratitude so deep it almost hurt. My sister, whom I never knew, had loved me enough to carve out a place in her family for me, even without knowing I lived. Loved me enough to entrust me with her child. Loved me enough to make me part of a future she might not see. "So what does that mean?" I asked, scarcely above a whisper. "It means you are not the nanny, Sophia," Alexander said, taking my hands. "You are Benjamin's co-guardian. A partner in the company. Heir to half of everything. And, well, my sister-in-law." The word sister-in-law sounded new in his mouth, as if he too was learning it. "And what does that mean for us?" I asked, meeting his eyes. He smiled, sad and hopeful. "It means we can be a family, Sophia. The way Isabella always wanted us to be. You, me, and Benjamin. Not as husband and wife, but as chosen siblings. As guardians of her legacy. As the family fate tried to break apart, but could not. Looking at Alexander, not as my employer, not as my sister's widower, but as my brother-in-law, as my nephew's father, as my ally in rediscovering who I am, I finally understood the title I had chosen at the start. I agreed to be the mother he lost, not knowing that in doing so I was becoming the sister we had all lost. And the truth I discovered not only answered my questions about my past, it healed wounds I did not know I carried. Wounds of abandonment turned into belonging. Wounds of loneliness turned into family. Wounds of identity turned into self-knowledge. When Benjamin called from the living room, his smile lighting the entire apartment, I knew the journey that began as a simple need for work had become the greatest discovery of my life. I was not replacing anyone. I was completing us all. And in completing them, I finally completed myself. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of feeling and discovery. Each day peeled back another layer of the bond one shared with Isabella, as if the life of twins continued to echo across the years and distance between us. Alexander took me to the law firm where Isabella's will was filed. The document confirmed everything he had said. I was heir to half her assets, legal co-guardian of Benjamin, and a minority partner in the firm. The attorney, a gentle-eyed woman in midlife, gave me an additional letter Isabella had left for me. She wrote this after the diagnosis, the attorney said softly. Few people knew, but Isabella had a congenital heart condition. She understood she might not have much time. The revelation struck hard. My sister had not simply disappeared, she had departed knowing she might. And even then, she found the strength to secure my place in her life, her family, her future. In the letter, she painted our parents in details I had never known, our father's love for opera, our mother's gift in the kitchen, nights when they rocked us together, one twin in each set of arms. She wrote of her dreams for Benjamin, her love for Alexander, her hope that I would one day arrive to complete what life had interrupted. You are not replacing me, Sophia, she wrote. You are completing me. You are giving Benjamin the mother I could not be for long. You are giving Alexander the sister he always needed. And you are finally giving yourself the family you always deserved. Reading those words in handwriting so close to my own felt like speaking with my reflection through time. Each line sealed an old wound, answered an ancient question. Benjamin, in his child's wisdom, adapted with a grace that amazed us. He began to call me Aunt Mom, a perfect combination that captured exactly what I had become in his life, the aunt who was also the mothering presence he needed. Do you have two mommies now? His teacher asked one afternoon at pickup. Benjamin shook his head, solemn. No. I have the mommy who is in heaven and the Aunt Mom who is here. They are twin sisters, so it is almost the same person, but two different people. Confusing for adults, perhaps, but it made perfect sense in his 4-year-old world. And in a way, it made sense to me too. I was not Isabella, but I carried her legacy. I was not Benjamin's biological mother, but I loved him as if I were. Alexander and I settled into a new rhythm, closer than employer and employee, deeper than conventional in-laws. We were partners in raising Benjamin, allies in preserving Isabella's memory, friends sharing the weight and beauty of a truth that transformed everything. One evening, as we reviewed firm documents, he showed me projects Isabella had left unfinished, a community school on the west side, a shelter for women on the south side, an accessible playground on the north side. She always said architecture was not about raising buildings, but about raising communities, he said, tracing her drawings. That every line, Every angle, every space should serve a larger purpose. Looking at those plans, I understood why I had always felt pulled towards social work even without the means to pursue it. Another echo of Isabella in me, her commitment to others, her belief that each of us must leave the world kinder than we found it. "I want to finish these," I said, my voice firm for the first time since the revelations. "I want to do what she could not finish." Alexander smiled, the warmth reaching his eyes. "I knew you would say that." So did she. She left notes on exactly how she wanted each one completed. Slowly, I became not only the sister Isabella lost, but the partner she always wanted at her side. The person who could carry on her work, love her child, and honor her legacy. Benjamin blossomed in our new family shape. His nightmares about the accident faded, replaced by calm sleep and bright mornings. He began to speak of Isabella openly, showing me her favorite things, teaching me the songs she sang, sharing the stories she told at bedtime. Each sharing was a gift, another piece of the sister I never knew, placed into my hands by the small boy who was now also my son of the heart. And me? I finally felt at home. Not only in the apartment with its lake view, not only in the city that had always called to me, but in my own skin. The scattered pieces of my life locked into place, revealing a picture more beautiful and meaningful than I had ever imagined. The truth I discovered genuinely healed my own wound, the wound of not knowing who I was, where I came from, where I belonged. Now I knew. I belonged here. With them. With myself. The healing did not end with me. It reached Alexander, who found in me the sister he always needed. It reached Benjamin, who gained the mothering he craved. It reached Isabella, whose love kept living through us. How could a lie be more truthful than the truth itself? Because sometimes the deepest truth needs a little fiction to reveal itself. And the most genuine love needs a touch of destiny to bloom. I agreed to be the mother he lost, and discovered that in doing so I became the sister we all found. In the process, I healed not only my wounds, but theirs as well. 6 months have passed since that frozen afternoon in Isabella's office. Chicago's brutal winter has given way to spring, and the lake's once iced edges now stir with living waves that mirror the renewed blue sky. In the same way, our family has found its own rebirth after a long emotional winter. On this Saturday morning, the three of us are at home, Alexander at his laptop at the dining table, Benjamin drawing on the living room rug, and I finalizing details for the first project I took over from Isabella's firm, the shelter for women on the south side. "Aunt Mom, look!" Benjamin called, holding up his drawing. "It is you, me, Daddy, and Mommy in heaven." The picture showed the four of us hand in hand, Isabella as an angelic figure above, her smile marked by the same dimple in the chin she and I shared. "It is beautiful, darling," I said, my heart tightening with love. "Mommy would have adored it." Alexander looked up, smiling gently. "She is adoring it. I am sure." This was our new normal, memories of Isabella woven into daily life, not as ghosts of the past, but as blessings that kept guiding us. She was not a taboo subject, but a constant presence that held us together. The week before, I finally met Alexander's family, his parents, who were confused at first by my sudden appearance, but quickly welcomed me when they saw how Benjamin thrived. His mother, Victoria, hugged me and whispered, "Isabella always said you would show up one day. She dreamed about you." These confirmations, from every direction, kept strengthening my belief that our reunion was not accident, but fate. Everyone who knew Isabella had a story about how she spoke of the twin she lost, how she held the hope that I was alive somewhere. Work at the shelter moved better than I had hoped. using Isabella's plans as the foundation and adding my own ideas, many of which, I discovered, uncannily echoed hers. We were transforming an abandoned building into a space of safety and welcome for women and children in crisis. "You have her same look when you are deep in work," Alexander said one afternoon, watching me study the blueprints in the office we now shared. "The same resolve, the same fire." I smiled, feeling a through line to my sister and the work we both loved. She left an extraordinary legacy. I want to honor it the best way I can. And I was honoring it, not only through the firm's projects, but through the love I poured into Benjamin, through the support I gave Alexander, through the family we were shaping together. Benjamin now called Alexander Daddy and me Aunt Mom as naturally as if those names had always been ours. In a way, they had. The truth I found did not create new roles, it revealed the ones that had always belonged to us. One afternoon, flipping through Isabella's childhood album that Alexander kept, I found a photo that stole my breath. The two of us, about 2 years old, hugging on a backyard swing. We were laughing, heads together, hands intertwined. "Where did you get this?" I asked, my hands shaking. "It was in the safe with Isabella's keepsakes," he said softly. "She told me it was her favorite of you too. She remembered that day, your father pushing the swing, your mother laughing from the porch." I studied the image a long time as memories returned in gentle waves, the smell of cut grass, the sound of our father's laugh, the feeling of safety with my twin pressed to my side. Memories I thought gone forever, now returning through a picture Isabella preserved. In that moment, I understood fully the meaning of the title I chose at the start of this journey. I truly had agreed to be the mother Alexander lost, but in the process I became much more, the sister Isabella always loved, the aunt Benjamin needed, the partner Alexander never knew he wanted, and the woman I was always meant to be. The truth I discovered truly healed my own wound, the wound of not knowing my origins, of not understanding why I felt incomplete, of not recognizing the magnetic pull of Chicago. Now I knew. Chicago was not just a city to me, it was where my sister lived, loved, and raised her son. It was where my nephew was growing up. It was where I finally found my place in the world. That night, as I tucked Benjamin into bed, he looked at me seriously. "Aunt Mom, will you stay forever?" I bent to kiss his forehead, my heart spilling over. "Forever, darling." I finally came home. When I stepped into the hall and found Alexander waiting with a smile that said everything we needed to know, I understood it was true. I had come home, not only to an address, but to my true self, my true family, my true path. The journey that began as a simple need for work had become the greatest adventure of my life, the adventure of finding myself, finding my family, and finding love in its many forms. And how could a lie be more truthful than the truth itself? Because sometimes we must accept roles that are not ours in order to discover who we truly are. And we must love people who are not our family to find the family that has always been ours. I agreed to be the mother he lost, and in doing so I became everything I was meant to be. In the process, I did not only heal my wounds, I healed the wounds of everyone I love. And that, in the end, was the most beautiful truth of all.